This is one of the more advanced projects that we're going to do. This one is basically based off of illuminated manuscripts, very basically, and also has a lot to do with comic books and storytelling. You're going to need to really apply yourself with some of the knowledge that you've already accumulated in previous art classes to really put something together here that's going to look interesting. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to come up with a story. You have to I will allow you to use a story that already exists. You can create your own story, or it can be a personal story, or it can be a historical story. Let me give you a few examples. If you want to make up a story about a dragon, then do that. You can make up that story. If you want to use an existing one, like I would stay away from something really popular, but even something like Harry Potter, okay? You can do something with that. You could do something personal, like, I don't know, the time you bumped your head on the like a doorway or something. Or you could do something historical, like you want to do a panel of Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech. You can do that. Okay. The one I tend to stay away from the most is one that already exists, because you're always going to be held to what's already been done. Like if I'm going to do something with Star Wars, that imagery is so already part of pop culture that people are just going to compare you to what's already been done. So it's always easier to do something that has not been done before, or something that you can take a little bit of an artistic license with. So the first part of this is to come up with a story. The second part of this is to start to lay out your story. A good panel and a good story has stuff going on in the foreground, the middle ground, and the background. So if you've already done a landscape, or you've seen the landscape video, you're going to apply some of the exact same ideas here. You're just going to apply them in terms of drawing. Let me see if I can help you out. So in a landscape, you've got objects that are really close up are considered your foreground. So let's make some bushes here. So this is foreground, okay? Middle ground is stuff that's kind of far away, all right? So let's have like just some trees here. So there's some trees, a little river. And then your background is stuff that's far away to even like your sky. So I'm just going to put some trees back here. So now I've got foreground here, middle ground here, background here. I can apply those same ideas, but now I'm going to apply them to actual people or figures, all right? So let's just say I'm going to, once again, go back to Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech, okay? Foreground, maybe I'll have like a person here, and like another person here, and then I'm going to have some steps, some more people, like just a crowd, and then right up here I'm going to have Martin Luther King talking. Okay, so I've got my foreground of people, my middle ground, and then maybe the background I'll just do like it was at the Washington Monument. So background, foreground, middle ground, background. You're taking those exact same principles and applying them into here. A good drawing is going to have those three elements in it. So let's go back. I'm going to show you some examples of projects that are using foreground, middle ground, background, and are good storytelling. All right, here's the first one. This one I love. This is a painting of a man and his wife and child. They've got a camel, and some guy shows up. Good storytelling is think of it as you're pausing a movie. You're in the middle of watching a movie and you press the pause button, and stuff happened before it and stuff is going to happen after it, and you're trying to get as much information as you can out of just this one panel. So look at what's going on here. He's got kind of like the hookah up in front, so maybe he was sitting down relaxing. And then this other guy came, so he's off in the background, and he's got his spear up. The man's got his, it looks like spear or gun up, and his wife and kid are kind of crouched down behind, cowering. So there's a lot going on here. You kind of get an idea on, okay, what was happening before. They were sitting down having lunch. And what's going to happen after this? Well, we don't know. There's a tension here. Like, are they just going to talk? Are they going to fight? Is something bad going to happen? But the picture itself gives this feeling of tension in it. Also, it has a foreground, middle ground, background. You've got like the wife and the kid and the camel and the guy. They're up in the foreground. The middle ground is the guy with the horse off to the left, and then the background's just kind of way in the background, just desert. So you've got these three things happening, and it's drawing your eye to each one of them. Let's look at another one. This one's a little bit more modern. This is one from an X-Men comic book by an artist by the name of Jim Lee. Now, in this one, you have to ignore the words because I really don't want word bubbles. No, I'm going to say right now, you can't have word bubbles in your project. But I can see right here that, all right, Wolverine and Jubilee are jumping off of here. For some reason, Jubilee has to be on his back, and then you've got Psylocke right behind them jumping off. So you've got these three characters. You've got Jubilee and Wolverine in the foreground. You've got kind of part of the building and Psylocke in the middle ground, and then the background, you've got those buildings. So you're creating foreground, middle ground, background, but you're doing it entirely with just the characters instead of really doing it with like a traditional landscape type thing. Now, the last one is a little bit, you're using perspective. You've probably done perspective in 6th grade, and now we're using it again. This one's got this boy walking down the railroad tracks. You can see right in front of him would be the vanishing point for 1 point perspective. And just, he's in the foreground. Middle ground is kind of, I'm looking at you've got the old, like beat up pickup truck to the right, and then you've got some of those old buildings to the left, and then the background would really be those big smokestacks. So you've got a foreground, middle ground, background, and not only that, but it's also telling a story. What's going on here? I mean, obviously the boy's got a backpack. There's things in his backpack. He's going on some kind of journey. He's probably not in a very nice part of town. He's following the railroad tracks for some reason. So you've got all of these three elements in here that are foreground, middle ground, background, but it's also telling a story. So when you start laying out your ideas and start laying out your story, I want you to think about what is going to happen. Don't make it too big. Don't start thinking like, well, there was a princess and the princess got picked up by a dragon and the dragon flew away and then she fought a knight and the knight. And don't come up with all of that. You want to have what's happening in that one panel. That one image that you're drawing, what's happening. That's all it's got to be. It could be something as simple as like in Harry Potter. They meet the spiders. Harry Potter is meeting some spiders. There's a giant web. Okay? It can be, instead of like all this thing about a dragon and a knight and all this stuff, I can just have the dragon picks up the princess and shoots on his back. And they start flying. That's it. Don't make it too complicated on yourself. So think about what the subject matter of your image is going to be. Write it down, and that's it. Isaiah.